Changes in fisheries management is something that we are very familiar with here in North Carolina, and red drum is next on the list. The ASMFC, that's the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, for those of you who don't know, they actually regulate red drum for the entire east coast of the United States, and they have got some news for us. They are currently going around holding meetings for Draft Addendum 2, that is with regard to red drum. So what is in this document? What is it that they want to tell us? What can we expect to come out of this? And is there anything that the public can do to change the outcome? Let's break it down. The first thing you need to know is that there are two independent stocks of red drum on the east coast of the United States. Now, I have seen a little bit different information. I'm going to try not to go on a huge tangent here, but I've seen information that suggests that southern stock is up to about the Cape Lookout area. As the ASMFC defines it, it seems to be the North Carolina-South Carolina border. So if you're in North Carolina, then anything that we talk about henceforth we'll be referring to the northern stock here. So the bad news first, the southern stock, which again, if you're in North Carolina, doesn't necessarily apply to us, but the southern stock is overfished and it is also experiencing overfishing. You can see the SPR here. If you don't know what that is, feel free to look it up, but I'm not going to waste your time talking to you all day about something that nobody really wants to hear. My opinion on this, I have spent an awful lot of my life dedicated. I don't know everything. I'm not perfect. But this is good, solid science. The way that this is conducted and the conclusions that they draw tend to reflect, at least eventually, in what the public sees as well. That's using a full-blown stock assessment and using the SPR value to decide where those fish are at. So again, for those of you who don't know, overfished means that the stock, the overall size of the stock, is too small to be sustainable. And overfishing, or overfishing is occurring, as it's often said, means that the removals are outpacing the natural growth of the stock, right? So it's too small and it is actively getting smaller to the point that it's not even just staying where it's at, right? So overfished and overfishing is occurring. There are some changes that are being suggested for that. Not even really suggested. Something is going to happen because of that status. Now, for those of us in North Carolina, I have a very strange take on this for me because I tend to side the other way. Not that my opinion really matters. I'm just one person. All of your opinions matter equally as much. All the same, here's my take. So the science behind this, they use something called traffic light analysis, TLA, right? And the issue with TLA here is that it's only really capable of showing us trends. Now, before you take too much from that, right, before you go crazy and say, no, this is nuts, there's so many redfish, I would suggest really listening to the biologist, to their presentation, and seeing what they have to say, and seeing if there is some kind of way that they can reinforce this or give us a little bit more confidence that something needs to be done. But all in all, what they're saying is that they see a concerning trend in fishing mortality. So they see fishing mortality trending up, and this is mostly release mortality from catch and release fishing. I can already hear a lot of you right now. I know it myself. I have pulled jig heads out of the butts of redfish that completely passed them. I've pulled them out of their stomach. I've caught the same fish that had my jigs in their stomachs. They are a very, very hardy fish, no doubt, but they are seeing this trend going up, and they're suggesting that we make some changes just to be safe. Now, what I will say here, my opinion aside, if we are not safe, and they are correct that this trend is taking us the wrong direction, then by the time we address this again, and this is what's happened with flounder in North Carolina so many times, by the time we address it again, it is going to be significantly worse. There's a good chance, not going to be, there's a good chance it could be significantly worse. And then you're looking at even worse regulation. So oftentimes it is very smart to go ahead and just cut that off right away, err on the side of caution. And then what's the worst that can happen? You have too many fish in the water. You know, it's a pretty good problem to have. My opinion only, right? Obviously we want to be able to catch fish, eat fish, and all that too. What I have seen suggested, what I believe is likely going to be the strongest suggestion there, is simply moving the slot from 18 to 26 inches And it does seem, if you look and you actually read this document, feel free to go through it yourself. It does seem that ASMFC is kind of like calling out Maryland, Virginia, because their regulations are not exactly the same. They don't line up, and they don't really seem to make sense to me. So if you look at North Carolina, we're allowed 1 redfish per day, 18 to 27 inches. Virginia, depending on, well, the Chesapeake Bay, depending on where you're at in the Chesapeake Bay, you're looking at 3 redfish from 18 to 26 inches. And I don't know exactly how that sorts out, if it's made up for because there are less actual fishermen out there taking fish, or if there's less commercial pressure. Commercials are allowed 5 a day in Virginia, where they're allowed 7 a day in North Carolina. I don't know exactly the details of how that shakes out, but it does seem strange that they have 3 at 18 to 26. Again, it's a very dynamic thing. But because they don't seem to line up within the Chesapeake itself, somebody's math ain't mathin' for sure. So I don't really feel like North Carolina is necessarily the focus of this. I believe that it may be looking to our friends to the north just a little bit. Really on this, my whole take on this, 18 to 26 inches, I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. I love to eat redfish, but it's pretty rare that I'll get one that's between 26 and 27. And if it works, that's great. It prevents something bad from happening. Based off the data and my understanding of this traffic light analysis, we may be fine. We may not have an issue with where we are in the SPR, that's spawning potential ratio again. And if we're not below that, I myself, if I was trying to tell people to err on the side of caution, I'm not going to say it strongly this time, because I'm not really sure that it's the right thing to do. I think that and I always argue against this so much. I hate kicking the can down the road. I really do. But I think if it's possible, that's another important thing that we should be asking the presenters tonight. Is it possible in a timely fashion, because we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot, screw ourselves over, in a timely fashion, to get a more accurate assessment where we can actually see where we are via that SPR value? Or is this going to be the only tool that we have to work with? Is there some kind of way we can help to make that better, so we can have a little bit more confidence that we're doing the right thing? Almost wrapping it up here. Now, there are some interesting things in this addendum. It seems as if they will allow, and this happened in the past as well, they would allow North Carolina to come forward with their own management suggestion if they have a different sort of an idea. As many of you may know, North Carolina had an option to go with a larger bag limit and smaller fish, kind of like how South Carolina did in the past. And they chose not to take that, right? They chose where we are, this one fish, 18 to 27. Another thing that it seems to be allowing, right? I read it in the document, but I don't know exactly how it works because I haven't done this with ASMFC before. So it seems that they would allow the North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries to submit their own stock analysis. And knowing what I know about the North Carolina DMF, they tend to have very, very thorough fisheries management data collection, right? So they tend to do a very, very good job with this, whether people like what they have to say or not. It is very, very thorough by comparison to other states. If you just side by side them, we do so much. We have so much data pull, and it's about as good as fisheries management gets. I know. I can hear all of you. I promise. If you read a lot, you'll understand what I mean when I say that. I promise you. If you read with the intent to understand. So the DMF may be able to come forward here and say, no, guys, you're wrong. SPR is looking fantastic. We're very happy where we are at. No, thank you. So let's be real. Is public comment going to change the outcome of this decision? Probably not, but it does matter. It does influence to some degree every single person that hears it, right? If you have a very convincing argument that you go up with, or if we have a really large mass of people that sort of resonate the same thing, then our representatives on the ASMFC, folks at the Department of Marine Fisheries, everyone is going to have that in mind when they think about what we're doing as we go forward. So please attend the meeting. Please speak your voice, whatever it is that you would like to say there. try to understand the document. Try to understand the document, because when we come in and you have 10,000 people say 10,000 different things, then somebody's got to be wrong. And in fact, if they say 10,000 wildly different things, then 9,999 of them are wrong. And this is pretty common. Somebody's got to be wrong, because we each just have our two eyes and only one brain. So we can only take in so much information. We have the ASMFC there. We have the Department of Marine Fisheries there specifically for this reason. There's a lot of ways to play this, and hopefully they'll throw some ideas out there. You could definitely get in touch with the Department of Marine Fisheries. I don't know exactly how ready they are to pull numbers off very quickly for ideas about how they would affect it, because we don't have exact numbers on what the effect would be. For instance, if we decided not to catch drum for 2 weeks in a certain area of the noose so that they get a little bit better chance to spawn, we're kind of leaving them alone. We don't know that has any quantifiable effect at all, right? It makes logical sense that it would, but we don't know that for sure. So I'm going to get out of here. Guys, please attend the meeting. I don't know if written comments are closed already, but if you don't have any other option, feel free to send in a written comment. Tell them what you want to see. You can call into this meeting and speak. I believe I will put the link down here. And you can also attend the meeting. I'll have the address down in whatever description, wherever I'm posting this at.